Hey, you. Are you dreaming right now? No, it's actually even better. You're now entering Dreamland. Hi, everyone. My name is Stacey Axler, and I am the host of Now Entering Dreamland, a podcast about dreams, sleep, and everything in between. Welcome back to those of you who have been to Dreamland before. We're happy to have you back, and welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. It is a Sunday, and it is one of my favorite days of the week because I get to release a new podcast episode of Now Entering Dreamland. And this is episode 10, which is super exciting. And I got to do an interview for this episode. This episode, I interview Elizabeth Fulton, who is a comedian based in Washington, D.C. Fulton can do it all. Fulton teaches improv and not only teaches but performs improv. You may have seen her in this fantastic team called Best Party Ever, which is hysterical. Fulton is also a stand-up comedian and is probably one of the best stand-up comedians that I've ever seen, to be honest. And Fulton also writes and performs sketch. Fulton also writes movies and pilots. So, as I said, Fulton can do it all. I love talking to Fulton. I think Fulton is extremely creative. And when Fulton volunteered to do this podcast, I was thrilled. We talked about dreams, sleep, but we also veered into trends of the 90s, which is something that I think is both near and dear to our hearts, being 90s kids. Um, Fulton is honestly one of the best people I know, and I am honored and privileged to call her a friend. So, without further ado, here is an interview with the very funny Elizabeth Fulton.
I know that a lot of people feel like the pandemic has affected their sleep and their dreaming and sleep cycles and all that. I haven't necessarily felt that way. It's been pretty consistent.
Interesting. Okay. When you have a vivid dream, do you think your vivid dreams correlate to anything happening in your life?
Yeah, like I think, and I know like everyone in your dream, I guess, is someone that you've seen, even if you're not consciously aware you've seen them. But yeah, most of the time it'll be like based on like something I've watched recently or someone I've talked to recently, like they'll make an appearance. And then like some of those common like, things that like indicate how you're feeling in life. So it's like, when you feel like you're losing control, or like I used to have a lot of dreams where I like knew I had to be somewhere, but I couldn't get there. Like I would open the door to like a known place and know that it took me somewhere, and it would take me somewhere completely else. And I was always like missing appointments.
Oh my gosh, that sounds stressful.
Yeah, it was like I knew I had to be somewhere at like, let's say 7 p.m. And so I would like be on, like, let's say I needed to be at like an improv show at Source, and I'd be on 14th Street at like 5 p.m. and I'd be like, not a problem. And then like, so I'd go on a bunch of different journeys, and then it'd be like, all of a sudden I'm in like Colorado, and I'm like, wait, but I have to get back to 14th Street. And so I had this like panic of like, there was no way I could possibly get there. Sometimes I would stay asleep long enough to realize that I was late. And I always arrived, and I was like, I'm so sorry, like this. And they're like, we don't want any excuses. Like it always, it was pretty negative.
That is very negative. It reminds me, I've had quite a few dreams where I'll take the metro, and I've never been to this place, but I'll wind up in Montana. It's like one exit, and I honestly do feel that there's that one exit when you get off at the Gallery Place station that's very far from the rest of Gallery Place. It's almost like it's in Montana, but in my dreams, whenever I go out that entrance, I'm literally in Montana, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, the metro, I've had some stress metro dreams for sure.
Oh man, me too. I had a dream. This was after, do you remember a few years ago, there was that metro accident back in like 2015 when gas or some smoke went
Like filled the station.
Filled the station, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the day after that, I had this dream that I was in the metro and it started caving. Like I was not on the train, I was on a platform and the ceiling started caving in around us. Oh my God.
Okay, I've had a very similar dream, except the track starts like breaking down downwards, so people were like dropping in.
Oh my God.
That's kind of wild though, but yeah, it was like very platform related. But I think like I've always been like really terrified because like I've watched people drop things and they'll like go down to get it and like people rally behind them and like help them to like get themselves out or help them get like their iPod or I think some keys and a wallet or like things I've seen people retrieve, but like it terrifies me.
Oh, me too.
And like I've always been like one of those like bystanders that like gets closer just in case something goes really wrong, but like I physically am not the person to be that like sidekick to that endeavor, but it always makes me really nervous.
Oh, I get terrified. I don't know if I've ever even told you about this, but one day I was trying to get onto the metro. So the metro pulled into Silver Spring, and Silver Spring's an above ground station. And all I had to do was the simple task of walking from the platform and getting onto the train. And for reasons that I still can't quite place, my foot fell through the gap. That's but the very minute gap. It's typically minute. I don't know what was going on this day, but I guess the gap expanded more than it typically did, and my foot fell through. So I was like half on the in the train, half I was like stuck. I was stuck, and oh my God, did not know what to do.
That's terrifying. I didn't know, one, that was possible. Two, that happened to you. That's awful.
I was actually really, really afraid. And it was a moment where I think, there was a few other people on the train, but not many. And I think everyone was struck with like, no one knew what to do, including myself. So then I just ended up like, I used my hands and I just like jammed my leg out of it. Like, and it hurt a lot, but I was like, well, I'd rather be mildly injured by myself than have my leg ripped off, by the inertia of the train. So I was just like, bam.
That is so strange. I've seen like backpacks caught indoors. I've seen like I've absolutely never seen anyone slip in between that. But I mean, isn't it in like London they have to tell people to mind the gap?
I thought that was a political campaign. I didn't know that
was it.
I thought it was, but I could be wrong. I don't know what it means. It must mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it does have to do with, they call it a tube there, right? They could say the tube.
Okay, you just scared me. I might be something associated political, but I just looked it up and it says mind the gap is an audible or visual warning phrase used to rail passengers to take caution when crossing the horizontal and in some cases vertical spatial gap between the train door and the station platform. And it was first introduced in 1968 on the London Underground in the United Kingdom, just in case anyone was curious. But it could also be political. I didn't.
It probably is not. I guess I thought that it was some political phrase. I had no clue, but it makes sense. Mind the gap. I should have minded the gap, but instead I just I walked on. That was scary. That was, I think, the scariest time. And then I would say the second, some weird things have happened to me on the metro. I've been spit on the metro. That was uncomfortable. I don't think.
Intentionally?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Is like I want to say like, did they feel like you did something to cause that, or was it just completely?
I mean, if I offended someone, I do apologize. I don't know what I did. I was listening to music on my phone, so I was kind of.
I'm gonna assume you didn't do anything. Yeah.
I don't think I did. I was alone, so I really don't know.
That would bother me. Yeah, I'm honestly not a huge fan of the Metro.
So
So I'm not really missing it right now.
I know, right? I was just thinking about this earlier today. I haven't been on the Metro in months, and I can't say I miss it.
Yeah.
I just can't. But anyway, stress dreams about the Metro I've definitely had. Let me ask you a question about this. I sometimes, when I get stressed, I dream that I have like problems with my teeth, like that they're falling out or they just appear like in a state of disarray. Do you experience that?
Yeah, I've definitely had, most of the time it'll be just like a single tooth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess it means that you like feel like you're not in control of your life.
Yeah.
I know like a little bit about, I like have definitely looked up like what does this dream mean? And like basically the only two I really know about is like not being able to see is a huge recurrence. Losing the teeth is a huge recurrence, and then being late to things. But those are the three that are prevalent in mine. But
So not being able to see, like you can't see your.
yeah,
Wow.
have you ever had one of those dreams where like
No.
everything is like, it's like sometimes I'll have, yeah, it's like it's not, sometimes it's like straight like black in front of me, but most of the time it's like fuzziness, like I can't make out faces or places, or like I can't see, and it really frustrates. It's like very frustrating.
What does that mean? What is the analysis of that?
That's a great question. I guess that like the feeling of overwhelmedness. That feels vague, but
it always is.
but yeah, I mean, I feel like I haven't had one of those in a while. Right now it's like a lot of me being like scheduled to be somewhere or do something. Like, have you ever woken up in the morning and you're like half sleeping and half awake, and you've convinced yourself that there's a task that you have to complete before you wake up?
Oh my gosh. No, I've not quite experienced that, but typically when I wake up, I'm just like, I'm late. Like I literally think I'm late to work, and it could be 4 a.m. And I'm like, I'm late.
Oh, that's terrifying, yeah. But yeah, I've had ones where I've woken up and been like, I have to write this essay. Like, this is something I have to do, but I'm still sleeping. And I'm like, I clearly don't know what the essay assignment is. Like, so it's like this weird cycle. Then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I guess I have to do that essay now. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I'm like a grown adult. I do not have essays due. Like,
I appreciate that. I feel like for me, when I wake up in the morning, I have a really big problem reading the difference between AM and PM when I first wake up. And I will always think it's like 6 p.m. And it's like, what? I've slept through the day? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I remember there was one time when I used to do a lot of focus group traveling. So I'd go to like different time zones, and like I would go from like Jackson, Mississippi to like Denver, Colorado, like within 6 hours. Like I would, be in these places for such short periods of time. And so there was one time when I got to Denver, Colorado, I was like, oh, I'll just like close my eyes for a little bit to take a nap before the focus group starts. And I remember I woke up, and for some reason I thought it was 12 a.m., but it was we just hit noon. But the like curtains were closed, and like I similarly, like it was a clock that clearly didn't make AM or PM really clear. I still remember that panic feeling in my heart, and I remember calling my parents, and that's when I realized that it wasn't, like there was some realization on that phone call that I was like, it must not be, and they were like, you're losing your mind. But it was a really terrifying feeling. And I also thought it was strange that no one would have called me like, hey, you missed the focus group.
I know, right?
But I definitely, I know exactly what you're feeling with the AM PM. That was like the one time I had that, and it was because curtains were closed. Like, do you sleep with your curtains so that the sun doesn't indicate time of day, or?
Nah, I should be able to just look out the window and figure it out. Because I have blinds, like, so the light of day usually comes through the blinds, but it's like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I'm always in such a state of just sheer panic. Like, I think
It's
I've
not
just
a great way to like start the day, I feel like.
No, it's not. It's not. That's why I'm on medication now, because my anxiety is so. But I will say, back to the vivid dream part, it's like I think, my sleep, which always was messed up, to say the least, got even worse during COVID, and I had all these dreams in which I got COVID, and
Oh no.
I couldn't breathe. And then I guess my body would stop breathing, or I would forget to breathe, or I would hold my breath, and I would wake up. I would actually wake up in my bed coughing because I wasn't because suddenly my lungs would open, and I would take a deep breath of air, and then the whoosh of air would just make me start choking. And then even though I was woken up from the dream, I'd be like, oh no, I have COVID. Like, I'm coughing violently. And I was a self-induced cough. It was just so messed up. It was so messed up.
That's terrifying.
I was angered at myself. What things do you dream vividly about?
I'm trying to think of any past dreams, but I guess I haven't told anyone, so I can't really remember them. I don't remember what I dreamed last night, which is upsetting. Should have written it down this morning. I think it's been a lot of things I used to do, but in an ideal way, if that makes sense. I definitely have dreamed of traveling and being in a place, particularly I have a trip that I take every year to Maine with some of my friends from college. And I've definitely had dreams that we were in Maine, but obviously weird things happened simultaneously, or people who weren't supposed to be there were there, and stuff like that. But so I definitely have traveling dreams like that. Yeah, that's kind of all I can super remember. But I do know that if I've had a good dream, I will try to force myself to sleep, and I can continue the dream. I don't know if that's unique to people.
That is pretty unique. What do you dream about that's nice? I never have nice dreams. I'm very curious about this.
I mean, a lot of the times it'll be if I feel something hasn't come to its conclusion, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a specific example, but it'll be if I'm supposed to give a presentation at work, let's say, if I haven't given that presentation, but nothing has been negative in that dream, and if I like the people I'm around, I will want to go back to that dream.
Okay, I hear you. So
it's nothing
people oriented.
It's not oh, you've finally accomplished all your goals and you're have your perfect life. It's very minute. I'm just happy. I'm oh, look, I got to sit in a chair. I want to keep sitting in this chair.
That actually sounds nice. I would love to have a nice dream. I don't have very good dreams that often.
Yeah, I definitely, it swings back and forth for me, but right now I'm surprised it's not that bad. Because I know a lot of people are really struggling.
Oh my God, yeah. I don't know, maybe it's just me. It's not just me, I know that, but
yeah, I think I've definitely heard from other people, and know a lot of people. Is it melatonin?
Mm-hmm.
Know a lot of people who have started taking that.
My doctor told me to take a particular type of melatonin because I was taking a different type of melatonin. There's different types, and
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. And apparently, I'll after this, I'll show you the bottle that I have, because the original melatonin I got would make me super drowsy. I'd feel as tired as I ever felt, but I still couldn't fall asleep. It was it was frustrating as anything. And then the new melatonin that I take,
I try to stagger it between I take the melatonin and then some days I take Tylenol PM, but I don't like to double up on multiple days. But I would say the last day I fell asleep totally naturally was like a week and a half ago. I didn't eat anything. I was just like out. And that was actually,
congrats.
thank
That's
you.
exciting.
I felt pretty good about that day. I was very pleased.
I remember when I traveled to, I think it was on my trip to Amsterdam. Like I had a friend who was like, oh, like here's a melatonin so you can sleep. And I was like, I have no problem. I can sleep any time of the day, any place. Like I've slept on tables before. I've slept like a lot of floors. I've sat in like chairs and fallen asleep. Like it's a warm environment. Honestly, if it's a cold environment, like
really, you can sleep in the cold.
Sleep, yeah. Oh yeah. There was like I don't know why this is coming to mind, but it was like in college, like I was in a service fraternity, Alpha Phi Omega, and we used to do these retreats. And so I was like organizing the retreat at the time. So I kind of figured, because like in the morning I had to like make sure everyone had breakfast and stuff. So I kind of figured I would just go back to my apartment and then come back to meet them at the retreat later. And then for some reason, like it just got to be like later and later. And I was like, it probably makes sense for me to stay here, but like I didn't bring any sense of like pajamas, anything like blankets. Like we had to bring all that stuff ourselves. And I didn't, so I just literally curled up in the corner. Someone gave me their sweatshirt I used as a pillow, and like I was good. Like it was freezing. It was like and it was like Clemson University cold, so I guess it's not like super count, but it was like cold for what Clemson considers cold.
Right, it was cold for what you were used to anyhow. That makes sense. I don't know. I cannot sleep in the cold. Like I always sleep. Tell me your thoughts about this. Do you when you sleep actually in your bed, like blanket necessary or nah, you don't feel like it's necessary? Because I am a blanket necessary person. Even in the summer, I need a blanket.
I have like a routine at night, and
this is good. Tell me your
reveal
routine.
An issue. But so for some reason I can't go to sleep unless I like first cover myself in the blanket, and then I like take one leg out of the blanket, and then I cover myself in the blanket, and I have to do that like a few times before finally like snuggling in, which is very like anti to what I just said. Like I can sleep anywhere without a blanket, but if I am like in my bed at night, I will like find myself doing that without even noticing I'm doing it. But I think it's like temperature control kind of.
It's like a little ritual.
But yeah, and then it's like I have to like start on one side, and then my body wants me to roll over, but like I know what side I'm gonna end up on.
What side? What? So you sleep on the right side?
Well, so I sleep like in the middle of the bed, but I'll sleep on my left side.
Interesting. Okay.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take. Because I'm right side all the way, even.
But now, I don't know if it has something to do with like I like facing the wall. Like, I mean, I've only ever put my bed up against the wall, so I am on my left because I'm a grown adult and I can use the placement of my bed. But like, if I were to be in a hotel, like I think it would just be like the wall, whatever that answer is.
That makes sense.
I guess there are 4 walls, so that's not actually logical.
The wall away from the door is what you're saying, though.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always have faced the wall away from my door, which just happens to be the right side. I would be actually, when I was younger, I was terrified to face the door. Like it actually would make me physically ill. I was actually really scared of a lot when I was a kid, to the point where I don't know if I've ever told you this, I'd like vomit all the time just because I was so anxious all the time. Oh
my God, vomit? Like, wait, like, is this sleep related or is this like life related?
All the time. I would just get physically sick because I was so anxious. And I'm just now on medication. That's the crazy part of this whole.
That's so crazy that you worked through that. I mean, like, when did that feel like it got easier, or like you literally until now felt like it had not gotten easier?
My anxiety definitely has lessened a bit to it's manageable now. Now I just kind of freak out internally until I take my medicine. But like I would say it was pretty debilitating up through like first grade. And then I think I just kind of had my own little coping mechanisms, like my own little rituals that I would do with different things.
That's tough.
Yeah. But I was like, just really like, I hated the dark. I still am afraid of, I mean, now that I'm an adult and I can make this decision myself, I sleep with the light on. I don't like the dark at all. It makes me.
Wait, like your overhead light on?
So not the light that, I know you can't see it because I have on my special background, but you know, there's the light that's right up above me that's attached to the ceiling fan. I
Okay.
turned that off, but I have a bedside table that has a little lamp on it that it's like, it has a calming yellow light that
Okay.
I like turn that on, and it's like, it's dim, it's not as bright as the overhead light, and it makes me feel at ease.
Yeah, no, I have difficulty seeing in the dark, like even if I'm walking like a dark street at night, like on the way home, like, and I don't know, like not visited the eye doctor enough to know if there's a real issue where like if everyone can't see in the dark. I mean, I realize like most people can't see in the dark, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I hear
I
you.
particularly find that like sometimes I'll be like, are you able, to see? And they're like, yeah, I'm fine. And so I'll like latch onto their arm. I've like definitely latched onto arms if I'm in a super dark space, or like remember I used to like go to the lake like kind of like later at night, like in college and stuff, and I would be like, I really genuinely like feel like I'm gonna die out here. So for me in my bedroom, like I similarly feel like I need a light, but it's not necessarily to sleep. It's like my fear is like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to like navigate, or like I don't know. Yeah, it's like this weird feeling of like complete darkness when it's even like a little bit dark. It's like I have street lamps outside of my window, and like that helps a little bit. But I'll still put on like a closet light.
This is a question very particular to you because I don't have experience in this, but because you have an older sister, how did, when you were a child, how did sleep work? Like, did you have your own rooms, or like, obviously because she's older, like I'm sure you had different routines, or did you have different routines? Like, did you want to stay up with your sister? Like, I ask all this because I spent many years wanting a sibling of any sort, because I was very lonely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like rub salt in the wound, though. It sounds like you wanted someone. So like if I say
I want to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, like, well, okay, so one thing is we always did have our own bedrooms, but like so there were just the two of us. And growing up, I guess I grew up technically in 3 houses, but like I moved into one, or I guess my parents moved us into one when I was like 3. So like I really don't remember anything about the one before. I think that's fair. And then we moved to a house where we had our rooms were like pretty close. I mean, they've always been pretty close to one another, so we can like sneak in each other's rooms. I don't remember super well up until I was 9, and then that's when we moved into the house that my parents are still in.
Okay.
So all of that to say, like, this new house is the one I remember the most of, and I want to say we definitely go to each other's rooms. Hers is like nooked away a little bit more. Like the hallways are like a little windy, so like my room is like right across from my parents, and then hers like around the corner and feels more private, which is like why she got it, being like she's 4 years older. So when we moved into that house, she was going into I think she was like a year or 2 from going to high school, and then I was so young that like putting me close to my parents made sense.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I would sneak to her room so like our parents couldn't hear us clearly. But even like I went home, I was lucky enough to be able to go home for Thanksgiving via like quarantining, and then also them only being 30 minutes away, so finding a safe way to travel. And so when I was home, like my sister was home, we like still there was like one night that like we stayed up until like 2 a.m. just like gabbing.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I looked at the clock and I was like, we have to go to bed. But yeah, I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's most nights it wasn't like that, but we definitely have gotten like caught away and like just chatting. So yeah, and we both are like night owls. So we knew we were up anyway. Like even now when we like live in different homes, like I know if I text her at 1 a.m. like a funny like meme or like a TikTok, like she'll be up to like laugh at it.
Oh, that's awesome. I like that. I've always wondered about that because, and you know this to be of my personality, but I feel like I always need to be in the know. So I feel like if I had an older sibling, that would be my constant, like, I cannot go to bed because I need to know what's going on down there. As it was, you know, it was just me and my parents, and like I would be in my room and I'd be like, I wonder what's going on down there. And they'd just be watching like The Apprentice or something. I'd just be like, I wonder what's going on.
That's so funny.
Oh my goodness. So,
I also feel
bedtime.
like that was a really long answer to your question. Like I
No.
realized I didn't have to tell you anything about my house history, but I'm glad I did.
I am glad to hear about the house history. I think something I was really scared of when I was, and because we're of the same pretty much age and live in the same generation, I think I was really traumatized by the teaching of stranger danger because I really, really thought when I was younger that I was going to get kidnapped, like at any moment. Did you experience this? Like, I think that really set me back. Like, I could not fall asleep because I distinctly remember a few years there where I could not relax enough to go to sleep because I was like, I'm gonna get kidnapped from this room. Like, did you experience this?
Were you on the first floor?
No.
That's weird then, because like I was on the second floor. So I will say, like this kind of triggered a dream like recollection of so I have like shutters and then like a large, like my entire wall pretty much is window in like my parents' house that they're in now. And I used to dream that people climbed the side of the house and were like crawling through the shutters because it was like but so I can't, so originally I was going to say how they get to the second floor, but so that is obviously a stress that I have as well, but I don't know that I felt like it was actually happening per se, but it would be a dream I had for sure.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, scary.
Yeah. But I know, like, did your parents always have to tell you like, oh, the house is just settling?
No.
Every time I heard like weird noises, my parents were just, well, just the house settling.
I think I would literally go into my parents' room and I'd be like, I hear someone walking around downstairs, and my dad would have to go down there with like a flashlight, and he was like, I didn't find anyone. And they'd be like, Stacey, go back to bed, and I'd be like, I'm going to try. I'd be like, I don't know. But even to this day, sometimes I'll wake up and I sleep with my closet door open, and I think there's someone in my closet, and I'm like, oh yeah, they've made it.
Yeah, no, I always think there's someone in my closet, and that would make no sense. Yeah. I think that's pretty common. I mean, I'll even walk past it and it'll be ajar, and I'll like see like a jacket, and I'm like, that's a person.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. All the time. It's just so scary. Like, I don't know. And
like what I think about is like if someone is actually coming into your home to do something, like I don't know this, and I don't want anyone to like prove me wrong, but like I don't think that people sneaking into your home like have like a long game planned out. Like I don't think they're like, I'm gonna look like Stacey's jean jacket, and then I'm gonna like attack when like at the dead of night. Like, so
who even knows though? There are some weird people out there. Yeah, but I don't know. Did you ever have to sleep in a place that you got bad vibes from?
guess like Airbnbs. I'm not always crazy about them, and I like I'm trying to think of specific Airbnbs. I know like some of the ones like for comedy festivals that we've picked, I've not been crazy about, like from a like a neighborhood perspective, I guess. Like, but I don't know their neighborhood. You know what I mean? So like that's like I'm just like, you know, we had to walk through an alley to get here. Like, that's not great, but nothing ended up happening. But yeah, but I mean, I sleep fine. I mean, there was one Airbnb, I'm pretty sure that they just made a closet into a bedroom. And I was like, this is perfect. This is great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I hear ya. I guess I was more so, and I should have deliberately drilled down into this, but it's like haunted places is something that.
But like, how do you, like, I think everywhere is, I mean, we're about to get, this might be a hot take.
Say
I
it.
think everywhere is haunted.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure everywhere is. Like, I don't, this is gonna like flag me, but like, I can't think of somewhere that doesn't have some presence of something. You think, like, I mean, there might be a house that is like, has stronger, you know.
Right. Like, at least with the house that I grew up in, which was my childhood home, and my parents still live there. That house, you know, they had it was built in 1985. They were the first occupants. So I feel like that's kind of like I'm putting this in air quotes that I know you can't see because of the virtual background, and also you can't see it in podcast world, but it's like that maybe be like a safer house, like not having like a presence in it, just because I don't know how that, like, I feel like if it's a new building or a new home, how it could get potentially haunted is like maybe it's built on top of like an old burial ground or like near a cemetery.
Or even if they're next door, you think that they just stay in their like what 10-foot square. No, they're out to hang. I don't know, like they could walk over.
I mean, I suppose they could, but I grew up in a townhouse and like the whole row was built at the same time. So
they could be down the block in the neighborhood.
I guess so, maybe. And then when I first
maybe
moved,
they're looking for a new spot. They don't feel great in their old spot. And they're like, oh, a new building. And they're like these like nosy like Nate and Nancy. They're like, oh my god, like I would have loved growing up here. Like, I wonder what they cooked for dinner, you know.
Oh my god. I was very concerned, honestly, about spirits when I moved into this apartment, because this building was built in the 50s. So I was like, well, this building has definitely seen its share of things, but you know, knock on wood, I've only felt like extremely comfortable here, which is good. But then I remember when I went to Salem like 2 years ago, we're staying in like a very, very old house, like 200 years old. So that's like next level old, you know, like once your house gets to be a few hundred years old, that's next level old. And like, you know, because it's Salem, I think Salem on its own is pretty spooky in and of itself. And I was honestly really concerned about getting up in the night and going to the bathroom. But
what was like worst case in your mind?
Seeing honestly, I'm gonna tell you, seeing like a spooky woman in 1910 garb with like a bonnet, anything wearing a bonnet scares the life out of me. Like,
I feel like if there was a ghost, let's say, in your bathroom wearing a bonnet in the middle of the night, I would be like, excuse me, I'll wait. I'll be back. Like,
I just don't want to see the bonnet woman. I was so scared, but literally the only night that I woke up, I slept really well while I was in Salem, which is unusual for me. But of the entire trip there, I only woke up in the middle of the night once, and I had to pee, but I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold it. And then I fell back to sleep, which doesn't usually happen.
That's absurd.
I just couldn't do it. I was so afraid. I was like, I'll
I'll just wait till the morning. And then I like closed my eyes real tight and then I fell asleep. And then I woke up at 6 and it was very weird because I almost had to pee less than I did when I woke up at 3. You'd think I had to pee more, but it's like my body just acclimated to it.
Yeah, I've never woken up at the urge of peeing.
Really?
I don't know if that's also a hot take, but yeah, that's something like I cannot connect with. Like people are always like, I want this bed in case I have to wake up and pee. Like never crossed my mind. Put me in down the hallway. I will not need that bathroom until I am conscious. It's never. Now I feel like, no, I don't. I mean, it's been 29 years. I think I'm good.
Wow, seriously?
Mm-hmm.
That's something else. Wow. I feel
absolutely never.
At least 3 times a week, I'm like, gotta pee. But sometimes I'm just so exhausted, I'm like, I'll just have to wait until the more like
that's crazy. I can't even like comprehend that feeling or that thought process because I genuinely have never experienced even close to it.
What if you're dehydrated?
Oh, that's a great point. That's actually probably fairly accurate.
You think you could potentially be dehydrated?
Yeah, I mean, I think I try to drink water, but it's been tough. And like, this is going to sound so dumb because like I'm working from home now. So I'm like,
yes.
I honestly work so close to the kitchen. So you'd think I could just get up whenever I wanted water, but I actually used to drink a lot more water when I was at work. And I think it was because I think of all those trips with coworkers to the kitchen to like chat or like to distract you from work. Or if I was on my way to the conference room, I'd fill up my water bottle. Like
yes.
I was drinking so much more water. And now I'll just like sit down at the dining room table with my laptop. And like there'll be times like I don't get up for a really long time.
Oh my gosh.
I'll just like stare at the screen. But it's like there's less like wandering than like if I were to be in an office, which has been like the toughest kind of like transition for me to like work from home life.
See, I feel like now I'm trying to think about it. Since we had one of those machines in my office that would make you fizzy water.
That's fancy.
I took advantage of that quite often. Mostly
Did you add a flavor to it or was it just like?
I would always add a flavor. I could never just drink the fizzy water. I'd be like, today I'm going to do the green one. I would say I spent a good deal of the day just putting in different pods and like pressing the buttons and getting my water. And I'd be like, great, now I'm back to my seat.
That's amazing.
It was great. It was great. But now I have to get my own fizzy water out of cans.
What's your choice fizzy water?
Oh gosh, I've been doing the LaCroix peachy pear.
Oh, okay,
I like quite a bit because I like pear flavored things.
So growing up, I didn't have any soda. Like I want to say it was like I was like the age of 10 before it was like mandatory that I ordered milk for like at a restaurant. It was absurd.
Really?
And then it kind of switched to water. And then when I got older, it was like tea. But yeah, like I remember going to a party and they were like, oh, we have like Sprite or like orange soda. And I was like, do you have water? And they were like, no. And I was like, that's, I think, illegal.
That's the most like, 90s answer ever. It's like, do you just have water here? No. They did not have water just around in the 90s. People don't get that now.
Yeah. And like, so they were like, which one do you want? And like, I was like, neither, like, because first, I don't know. I just didn't, it's like for so long, you not having it, you just don't even like, I guess, want it. And I remember there was like one time where I was like at the mall at the food court and my mom did drink like Diet Coke, I think. Mm-hmm. And, she ordered a Diet Coke and I got a lemonade and we like put the straws in and for some reason couldn't tell which was which. And that was my first drink of soda, was a surprise drink of Diet Coke. It was terrifying. I was like, no, thank you. So yeah, so basically like where this is going is I just recently started drinking LaCroix and I've now become a little bit obsessed.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I do like it. I can understand the hype now.
Yeah. And I really like Spindrift.
What is that?
It's just like another brand, but like they had it at like I was somewhere that they had it, and now like the grapefruit run, it's pretty refreshing.
I do like grapefruit flavored thing.
Yeah. Like this is a very strange thing. For some reason, I recall holding people's hands in dreams a lot.
Oh, that's nice.
Like there's some person in a lot of my dreams, not like a recurring person. I don't want to get misconstrued, but like if whoever the person is that like is mainly around me at some point will end up holding hands, whether it's like from a friendship perspective, a romantic perspective. Like it's not always romantic, but
Are you
it's
a hand holder in real life?
Yeah, I guess. I think it's like a way to like feel connected even when you're not. Yeah, I couldn't think of ending to that sentence, but yeah, I feel like really connected to a person, and like it's instinctual for me to do it. I mean, I've had people who have dated that don't like it. And like I haven't been like devastated. It's not like a requirement. But if like mutually reciprocated, it becomes a pretty like used tactic for me to like, I don't know, just like something about the touch.
Yes. Yeah.
Is nice.
Are you, when you hold hands in your dream and or in real life, do you do the mitten or do you do the glove method?
I've genuinely never heard of it called mitten and glove. That makes so much sense.
That's what I'm gonna trademark it because
I think you should. Always the glove. I think the mitten to me feels like how if I were like about to get hit by a bus, I imagine someone would grab me by the hand with a mitten. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's like a get out of the way. Yeah. Like
it's like a panic grab, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
But I do know that this has nothing to do with dreams. But I remember having like arguments about like whose thumb gets the outside.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I like to be on the inside.
You like to be on the inside. Interesting.
If I feel on the outside, I feel like it feels off.
I'm trying to think now what I like to do. And I don't know. It's a mystery. I'll just have to figure it out, I think.
Yeah, and I think it probably like changes like person to person too. Because like I feel like you find your thing.
I like hand holding in theory, but I really like putting my hands in other people's pockets, like their
interesting. Okay.
Like even just people like even people I'm loose acquaintances with, I just like to whoop slip a hand into someone's pocket. I find it.
I feel like that takes me back to high school. I don't know that since high school I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't think of anyone who's like instinctively put their hand in my back pocket.
Oh, back pocket, yeah.
Wait, what pocket are you sliding into?
Like coat pockets, like coat pockets.
That's like, so weird. You slide your hand into their coat pocket. Is there a hand in there?
Like, you know, like it's like, okay, like let's say we're all standing in a group and sometimes like I notice someone has a coat pocket, I'll be like, huh, hello. Like,
I babysat once, it went terribly. They asked me to come back. I said, why?
Wait, why did it go terribly? Please tell.
I mean, I remember this family was so delightful. They like had already cooked dinner. I basically like got there and they were already, had it on the table. I ate with the kids. I cleaned up. I put everything away. Like I was very good at that portion. Like, and then like I realized that it was bedtime and like the kids even knew before I knew, like went into bed and they weren't wearing pajamas and I was like, this is weird. And then, but then they were wearing like their day clothes.
That's weird. Yeah.
But here's the weird thing is then I was like, don't you guys have pajamas? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, do you know how to put on your pajamas? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, that should have been like listed, right? I mean, in like the job description. But so I helped them get in their pajamas. Like, it was fine. I just felt like I was like taking directions from, I think it was like, I want to say they were like 6
Okay.
and 4, definitely a younger, but I don't remember how much younger. And then like I remember they could have a popsicle after dinner. And like I remember just like the 3 of us just had pops. It was like having roommates. Like it just like I was like an authority at all. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, they were safe, and I guess that was the
It
goal.
sounds like they had a great time.
It just felt stressful to me. Like I felt like they needed more like nurturing than they
No, I
got.
hear ya.
But I think we had a good time.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, it didn't feel like it was my calling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I remember, I want to say I was like 15, and that was the first time I babysat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of
then,
young.
And then I just remember I have like, well, I had glasses, but just for like astigmatism, like I really don't need them. And I remember I wore them because I wanted the parents to think I looked smarter. I was like, they'll trust me with their kids if I'm wearing glasses.
Do you wear contacts?
No, I like really don't need glasses. Like even astigmatism, it's like it's really just difficult to like sometimes reading words at like certain angles because of the shape of the eye.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, I know that like them creating contacts for astigmatism was like a huge thing, and my eye doctor was like, oh, now you can wear contacts. And I was like, I don't wear the glasses though. Like I just maybe life could be different if I wore glasses. I do have a lot of pairs of glasses, and now I guess this is gonna like shake the world, but they're all fake.
They really are? They're all fake?
Yeah, some of them are clear glass, some of them are computer glasses. Absolutely none of them have a prescription.
Oh
I have
my
one with a
God.
prescription, but it lives at home at like my childhood house because I think it's an outdated prescription.
Wow.
But I
This is-
love wearing glasses. Like it feels like an accessory. Like it's just enjoyable.
No, I do like glasses too.
And it feels like sometimes like if I'm not like wearing jewelry or like I haven't done my hair or anything, like just put on a pair of glasses and you feel like a little bit more put together. But I think that's a weird Elizabethism. I don't know if that's normal.
I do like glasses. I actually was thinking about getting some Warby Parkers for myself for Hanukkah.
Why Warbs?
That was the only one that I know of, to be
That's
honest.
fair. I mean, I don't have a particular different one. I'm sure the podcast isn't sponsored, but I will say I have purchased from iBuy Direct.
Oh,
UYE BUY Direct.
That's funny.
Yeah. and yeah, I felt like they were like, it was easy to order, and like you can, similarly to Warby Parker, return them and get them back. Not that I'm against
cool.
Warby Parker at all, but I got like the blue light glasses from Felix Gray, which I highly recommend. They were really great.
Oh, cool. I told you about my blue light glasses that I thought were Parisian sunglasses, but
oh my gosh, yes.
So I have those. I really thought those were some type of new wave sunglasses, and
so funny.
But at least now I have them.
Well, is that the same as your fake glasses?
Yeah, so I got my fake glasses and but I purposely bought the fake glasses from H&M, but I knew they were fake. I was like, I just wanted some glasses.
I just remember the first time you wore them for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, then I was tired. I need to commit to the look, but it's hard. It is hard. Like, I think I'm really honestly glad that as a child I didn't need glasses, because like I would have just fiddled with them constantly, because I feel like
lost
I'm
them
always
everywhere. Like my glasses were always in the lost and found.
Oh God. Well, see, at least some kind do-gooder turned them in. So
do you need to wrap this podcast up?
No.
Is there like a final question you ask people?
I sometimes will ask, I'm trying to decide on a good final question for everyone, but I think the final question that I have that I like is, if you could dream about anything, is there something you would like to dream about tonight?
I would want to dream like the answers to things, like to waking questions that I have. I would want to receive the answers in my dream tonight.
I love that. Like, what type of questions?
I mean, anything. It could be anything from, like a work question, like, we want a different, package creative for a campaign, and I could just go to sleep and then like see it, it comes to me. Or it could be like, what's the optimal time to like hard boil an egg? My dream could tell me that. I think it's 10, but
I think it's 10 minutes, yeah.
yeah. But it's like, or like, I find it very hard to crochet.
Really?
Yeah, very difficult. I've tried knitting, crocheting, like all types of those skills, and I haven't really been successful. So if like I went to sleep, like saw some sort of trick about how to hold the yarn and the needles correct, like I feel like there's still like a jumbliness, and like how to get the lines so straight. It's so hard. Or
Yeah.
even like, I mean, even like, I guess creative ideas too, but I feel like that is sometimes what comes out of dreams. Like,
True. Yeah.
And there you have it. That was an interview with Elizabeth Fulton. Thank you, Fulton. If you like this podcast, if you are enjoying what you're hearing, I can only recommend that you should subscribe. Now entering dreamland.com, there is a subscribe button, so you can get this content delivered right to your inbox every week. Also, if you don't like subscribe buttons, we release new episodes every Sunday. This is episode 10, which is actually a thrilling day that we've made it this far. 10 episodes and more are on their way. You're now leaving Dreamland, but we'll see you next time.